I think students would easily be engaged with Watchmen, not only because it's a medium of art that would most likely be foreign to them for study, but also because it is written as a mystery. The establishing scene of the story is the unexpected murder of the comedian. The trick with all mystery stories, though, is to master a form of closure where you can line up schemes and meanings, ultimately making inferences to form an opinion. The story is no different, though the ways in which Moore and Gibbons created their spatially rhetorical arguments are quite humble. Let's look, for example, to the 5th chapter, Fearful Symmetry. If you haven't read the entire story yet, I would suggest that you skip this explanation. It contains two of the largest spoilers in the story. So I just want to warn you that before going on. Notice how on each page there are several segmented frames, each looking exactly the same shape and size. If we compare the first page of the chapter to the last page of the chapter, it's plain to see that there's a visual argument going on. The reflection in the puddle of a small skull and crossbones is a symmetrical image that previews the rest of the chapter and sets up its format. Each panel after that begins to switch on and off between a red and blue filter. Not only that, but each panel lines up perfectly with its opposite, the exact same number of panels away from the center page. And in that center page, we see Adrian Veidt, later to be exposed as the man behind the curtain and the one responsible for killing the comedian. So now you may be thinking, well, this analysis is quite impressive in its own right, but do we really need to teach it in schools? Well, Jeffrey Wilhelm, in his award-winning book, You Gotta Be the Book, writes this. First, I found that thinking about literary reading as engagement was a powerful move for me as a teacher, and for my students as readers. Engagement means that the reader uses a variety of moves and strategies to enter and involve herself intensely in worlds of meaning. In these story worlds, the reader interprets characters, settings, events, and thematic possibilities through her interaction with and movement through that world. So if we go by his advice, then engaging with the story is first and foremost. And I plan on doing this by dedicating a whole day's lesson to reflection and speculation about the killer. So each student will be given the opportunity to make a case for whichever character they feel is the culprit. The students will have already read past chapter 5, but then again the killer isn't explicitly revealed until chapter 11. Then each group supporting with specific characters will have to back up their claim with facts and evidence from the story. In an article by Robert Sack called The Power and Place of Space, he writes, "The awareness of this interdependence of in or out of place and spatial interaction leads to questioning the meaning of any landscape. Is the place natural, genuine, and authentic, or constructed, staged, and non-authentic? This questioning of the landscape is exactly the goal that needs to be in order for the students to be engaged with the reading. It's the landscape of the text, however, in this case, that should be questioned, created, and validated."